All right. Do we have volume?
We'll check.
All right. Do we have volume? We do have volume. Good evening, Jackson. How are we doing tonight? Just want to start the show off real quick, just thanking you guys for tuning in and taking time out of your busy schedule, whether it's live or later on, overnight, the next day, a week later, whatever. I appreciate that you take your time to watch what we do here and watch me grow and try to learn and get better at doing these live feeds and kind of talking to a square box being my iPad in front of me. And it's weird as you do this more and more to learn how to, what seems like, talk to yourself. So you're trying to carry on a conversation, and for me, I try to pretend that I can hear y'all talking back to me. So it's kind of a weird dynamic. So I really, really respect guys that do this every day or whatnot. Sports talk guys, talk radio guys, other vloggers. It is not as easy as it looks to try to do this and make it make sense. And I'm not saying I'm nearly as good as any of those guys, but I feel like I'm learning to get a little better. So with that said, thank you guys for tuning in. It does mean a lot. I appreciate it. Even if you don't agree with everything I say, which I don't want anybody to ever agree with everything I say. You would be crazy if you believed everything I believe. Sometimes I question myself. So anyhow, thank y'all. Tonight we're going to discuss the COVID numbers. I had a nice description written. Oh, I think it's in there. Yeah. So tonight we're going to discuss the COVID numbers in detail. I got a few thoughts on the presidential election. A little breaking news. The Rankin County School District Superintendent has tested positive for COVID. She says she's okay. So that is a little breaking news there for parents with students in Rankin County School District.
Sue Townsend.
Ma'am?
Sue Townsend.
2000 what?
I said Sue Townsend.
Oh, Sue Townsend is her name.
Okay.
Sue Townsend is the Rankin County School District Superintendent, and she has tested positive but says she's okay for COVID. The city of Jackson is refusing a records request to see who the permit or who signed off on the permit for the street ball tournament during the last lockdown. The curfew has been extended, and I got a little tea to spill on some things. So let's get started, shall we? Little breaking news, as I said, the COVID has hit home in Rankin County. The Rankin County School District Superintendent, Miss Sue Townsend, has tested positive for COVID. She says she's okay, and she is recovering fine, according to local news outlets. We have a daughter in Rankin County School District as well, and so we're keeping a close eye on this. We hope she's all right. Well, we hope anybody's all right. We're praying for everybody. A few little odd and ends here. I saw that Kroger has recalled a lot of its cheese dips. If you're like me, you love cheese dips. I love cheese dip. I know that seems silly to discuss here, but if you like chips and dip, you got some cheese dip from Kroger. Check out WLBT.com. They've got a link to the story with all of the cheese dips that have been recalled. That felt relevant. A little out of place, but it felt relevant. Also, onions, apparently. They can both have salmonella. So throw away your onions. Little bad news. Steinmart, which was founded right here in Mississippi in Greenville by Jake Stein, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and most likely will be closing all of their stores, or a big chunk of them. We have one right here in Jackson on 55. I'm not sure if there's one in Dogwood or anywhere else, but we do have one right on 55 in Jackson there, next to Planet Fitness in the Hideaway.
There is one in Dogwood.
There is one in Dogwood too, so a little bad news there. Potentially another big empty building in Jackson. So let me just run through a few things here. I'm going to bounce around just a little bit. So the mayor, this is yesterday's news, but I didn't do a live feed yesterday. So the mayor is going to, or has, should I say, extended the city curfew. Same rules apply. Apparently there are no rules. Just don't get caught, or know the right people if you do. With that said, I have a major announcement here. Pop's around the corner. are opening this weekend. Curfew and bar shutdowns be damned. Pops will open up Thursday night. They open at 4 p.m. They'll have they'll have karaoke tomorrow night, and then it'll transition into a live DJ. I believe, I'm going to guess, DJ Tank. If you've ever been to Pops, you know Tank. They will be open Friday and Saturday night with DJ Tank. Or a DJ, I assume Tank. To hell with all of it. They didn't open last weekend. About 9 or 10 other bars did. We're not knocking anybody that chose to. We don't pay your bills. You do what you have to do. What we're advocating here at Save Jackson is that the laws be equally enforced or not at all. That's all. We hope everybody opens up. They can't close down everybody. It just sucks if it's you they pick. So with that said, Pops around the corner will be open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So get out and support them. Not sure what they can do to people that are in there. I doubt anything. I will be getting to the comments. We're doing an Ask Me Anything tonight. We're going to save it to the end of the show. If you've got any questions you want to ask me about Jackson, about myself, about Save Jackson, whatever, we will be going back and looking at questions at the end of the show. My wife will be picking them out. So it's got to get through her first. Let's see here. I wanted to discuss the COVID numbers a little bit. So today we had another big spike, which we always do on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Yesterday it wasn't as bad. Yesterday we had 644 new cases with 33 deaths, which is really low for a Tuesday. So it's trending in the right direction. But then today we had 1,081 new cases with 45 deaths. So that's getting back up there, but still lower than what it was averaging last week. So our 7-day average should be lower this week than it was last week, as long as the numbers don't spike again. The total positive cases, 69,374. Total negative cases, 454,744. So almost 500,000 negative tests and less than 70,000 positive. We don't report the good news enough. That's good news. That is a positive percentage of 13.2%. So of all the people that have been tested, which is right at 530,000, give or take, test, only 13.2%, which is 69,374 have tested positive. That's a lot. That's been 1,989 deaths, which is 1,989 too many, but not as bad as it was forecasted to be. So there are some positives there, other than the test results. The death rate is 2.9% in Mississippi. 325 of those deaths were in ICU. So that seems awfully low. A lot of people died. Well, hold on. So the rest of the story. Long-term care facility deaths, 854. So I didn't add 854 and 325 together, but that would be your total deaths under care in a long-term facility or the hospital, not counting home hospice and whatnot. So just a little bit of information there about the COVID numbers in detail. I did break this down, and I found it interesting. Ages 0 to 70 years old, or 0 to 69, 725 deaths, with 0 being reported under 18 years old. Take that for what it's worth. From 70 years old on. So let's just say 100. A 30-year range there. 1,219 total deaths. 0 to 69, 725. That's a 70-year range, roughly. 70 up, 1,219. I think it's safe to say that it's not even an argument anymore. The danger zone is 70 and above. With some in that 60 and above, depending on underlying health issues. If you're going to be out and about in public, and I'm talking to myself here, I hope my daughter's listening. Let's be very cautious about what we're doing. If wearing a mask makes you feel better, makes your family feel better, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask and you're not living with elderly parents, grandparents, whatnot, do your thing, boo-boo. But this is definitely affecting our elders, our elderly, our senior citizens more than it is folks in my age range, 42, 43 years old. So just a little information there for you. WLBT does a great breakdown of this every day, and they post it on their Instagram. I recommend following WLBT3 on your side. This is really good information here. It breaks the numbers down better for you, makes it a little easier to understand. And hopefully take some of that fear that everybody's pushing, that fear porn, and you can kind of break it down and decide what's safe for you. Anyway, I ran across these numbers last night. I'm going to get off the COVID real quick because I know you get enough of that in the news, but I just felt it was relevant with the presidential election and all that good stuff going on.
Read that little bottom one.
Red states with a Republican governor, there's been 53,209 total deaths. And blue states with Democrat governors, there's been 109,750 COVID deaths. And so before you say, well, there's more people in red states than blue, let me break that down a little better for you. In red states, 371 deaths per million people. In blue states, 594 deaths for every 1 million people. So the media would have you think that states like Florida, Mississippi, Texas, Georgia were these death hotbeds, and they're not. New York and other states of their same ilk has led the way. But food for thought. Let me read this comment from Brian here. My stepmom said JPD came to the room on Highway 80 yesterday and made them close the doors and said if they have to come back, they would find everyone there. Oh, the room. Yeah, my dad's best friend owns that place. The old recovery room that was in Fondren. So, no surprise. Clearly, so let's jump on into Jackson T here. Clearly, the law states, or the executive order, or whatever the mayor wants to call it, bars, clubs, etc., that don't serve food. But I mean, so we're going to punish. I know y'all get so tired of me beating this drum here, but like I saw Chuckles Comedy Club. It's got club in the title, in the name of the business. And they were open this weekend. I assume they sell liquor and food. I don't know. They should be open. Everywhere should be. But if you clearly, I don't care if you serve food or liquor or only beer or whatever, if you got club in the title of your name, then you're a damn club. COVID doesn't know the difference if you have food or liquor or just beer. If you're a public gathering place that calls yourself a club, then you're a club. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't ever want to sound like I'm attacking a business. I'm just using them as an example.
People are saying Babes is still open too.
Yeah, apparently some of the strip clubs are doing what they do. And again, by all means, do what you do. I'm not the police. I know that I saw where some strip clubs now are pretending that they're doing their part and they're going to do what the mayor asked when they were wide open during the last shutdown. So, this is all political. I'm going to get out this weekend and ride around because I like to 100% see stuff with my own eyes, not just the pictures people send me. And I'm going to guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of places open, and they should be. I encourage everywhere to open. But it's the mayor that I have the issue with shutting it down and then nitpicking, what can, what can't be open. That's ridiculous. Let people make their own decision. I can assure you this. More people under, let me pick one of the age groups here. Under 39. No, we'll go one lower. More people under 29 have died in Jackson from gun violence since COVID popped off than anybody died from any way, form, or fashion or communication or transmission from being in a bar, a restaurant, a nightclub, or church. Guarantee it. Guarantee it that more people have died in Jackson since March 1st from gun violence under the age of 29 than have died from COVID that they got from anywhere. And considering that only 11 people have died under the age of 29 in the entire state, I'm probably right. Or we can go from the age 39 all the way down to age 0. And that would be 43 people died. Well, Jackson's just had its 70th homicide. I would need to go back and look at how many was in March, April, May, June, and July, which I know April and July were record-tying months for homicides. I've got all this information written down somewhere. I didn't expect to dive into the history of it today. But people aren't dying from the COVID they got at a bar, a restaurant, a church, or a club. They're dying from getting shot in Jackson. Or if they did get COVID, probably from Walmart or Kroger or any of these other places that you go shopping where there's zero restrictions other than a face mask. The hypocrisy of this is absolutely ridiculous. You know where I can guarantee you somebody didn't get COVID from? On their four-wheeler at Elton Swamp. Or maybe somebody got it, but they ain't dead. We ain't heard about that. But the police resources were used last weekend to park at the front gate all weekend and turn people around. While the same day, that Saturday, there were 2 shooting murders in Jackson before 5 p.m. One of them caught on video. I know y'all have seen it. At least 100 of you have sent it to me. It's been shared all over the place. Then I saw last night the other shooting that happened at the funeral home, and the guy died across the street at the gas station. The shooting getting on video that I know of, but the aftermath is a guy sitting there filming him in the car dying while the girl's calling 911 that's trying to hold the wound, compress the wound. Man, y'all know I'm all for filming stuff and putting it on the internet. But if a man is sitting there dying, put your damn phone down and help. I mean, I understand if you don't want to break up a fight between 2 people and they want to fight, film it. I get it. Not your problem. But if somebody's sitting there dying and your first instinct is to pick up your phone and record it, you're the problem. You are absolutely part of the problem. So, anyhow, I'm not going to stay on that too long.
Somebody's asking if you saw where South Carolina, the 5-year-old white boy was executed.
Yes, I did. So, I don't know if y'all can hear Crystal over there. Somebody in the comments asked if I saw where the 5-year-old boy was executed in his front yard by his neighbor. I think he was on a swing or on his bike or something like that.
And they're saying they believe it's being suppressed by the media.
So right as we were getting ready to go live, I had the news on in the background, and I heard something about it. No. It was right before I left work. I had XM streaming, and the news said something about it, and I have not had time to look into it. It's terrible. 5-year-old boy was shot dead in his front yard by his neighbor in South Carolina. I don't know any particulars. Somebody said a white boy is in to insinuate that maybe the neighbor wasn't white. I don't know. I really don't give a shit what color the people were. I don't think it's relevant to a death story. I don't like hearing about it when it's white people or black people or either. I think when we do that, it just feeds into this hatred for each other. And we need to quit discussing stories like that. And I understand it. I do. You feel like you get beat up all the time and you get so tired of, being white guilted, but you can't feed into that. You hate it. You hate it when you hear it. So does everybody else. So just try to resist that. You'll feel better if you do. You'll feel better not going down that street. Just pray for the family, pray for the boy. At least he got out of 2020. You don't have to see what's coming next. I'm telling you, the rest of us got a front row seat to the end of the world. So, Godspeed. That one will throw you off your center a little, won't it? That's a tough story to swallow there. Let me kind of reset here just a little bit. You may see my book I got out tonight. Confessions of an Undercover Agent by Charlie Spillers. Right here, lives in Mississippi. Charlie was the head of the MBN, Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics. He's had several other major law enforcement jobs over the years. This was a best-selling book here. Some of y'all may or may not know this, but my mom was one of the first female MBN agents in the state of Mississippi back in the 70s. There's a story about her in this book. If you have it and you read it, you can DM me and I'll tell you what story. Maybe one night I'll do a Clay Reads session.
You
but
don't have your mama on the show.
Yeah, we talked about having my mom on the show. I'm efforting Charlie to get on the show as soon as I learn how to work Zoom and whatever. I did get a new toy here. I got this really cool concoction here that's supposed to make my computer do everything I want it to do for live streaming. But apparently it is smarter than I am. And I don't know how to hook it up right. So I got a guy that's going to come show me how to work all that. So I can kind of have my laptop here and y'all can see what I'm looking at. So we're going to be able to do some cool stuff as soon as I learn how to work the equipment that I've bought. But anyway, check this book out if you haven't. Confessions of an Undercover Agent by Charlie Spillers. It was a Mississippi bestseller. Charlie's a great dude. He was leader of, like it was a gang. He was head of the MBN for years. And great dude. Really great dude. Give him a follow on Facebook too. Charlie Spillers. So, a story that jumped out at me. And a website that I'm never one to like hide where I get any of my information from. I think we live in an information age and everybody should know where it is. I just like to discuss it with y'all. So, I mean, I'll never reveal any sources that send me anything. Like, me is the first point of reference. But Jackson Jambalaya, I get a lot of my stuff from there. Kingfish, Jackson Jambalaya, you can type in either one. I think it's kingfish1935.blogspot.com or something like that. Or Jackson Jambalaya. Admittingly, I can't always remember how to spell jambalaya without typing it out. So, Jackson Jambalaya recently submitted a records request to the city of Jackson over the permit for the street ball tournament on July 20th on Dixon Street. Was it July 20th? So, yeah, July 20th on Dixon Street. Which, you know, if you saw the WJTV did a story about it, they had pictures or video or whatnot. I would say, having been a past event promoter, there was at least 1,000 or more people out there at the street ball tournament. A lot of them not wearing masks. Again, things we don't care about. We do not care. The only reason I bring it up is because the city issued a permit and let the event go on, and none of their own rules were enforced. Again, I don't care. Everybody should be able to decide to make their own judgment. But then the city goes and does what they did at Elton Park or Elton Swamp over the weekend. A legally permitted business that's technically not even in Jackson, just the easement to the property is in Jackson. It's Hinds County. They shut them down. Then we allow a memorial event for Charles Evers that the mayor was speaking at. Again, a great event. Loved Charles Evers. Loved him. Respect everything he ever did. As well as his brother, obviously. The mayor was speaking at that event, so it was okay to roll on. Hell, the news was broadcasting live from there. Multiple stations. Then, Sunday, I'm out riding around, looking at some locations for the documentary we're doing about the rise and fall of Jackson, Mississippi. And I see right there across from the Iron Horse on that lot, on the corner of Capitol and Gallatin, that there's a big flea market, block party, something going on. Wide open. Once again, no problem. We support anything. But why is it selectively enforced? These are things wide open going on. I just don't understand why we selectively enforce certain things and not others. Why certain bars are open and JPD even working security at some of them. I didn't see it with my own eyes, but I've heard it from multiple sources. that they were directing traffic out at Chemistry on State Street there, while other places had to be closed. In what world does that make any sense? In what world does that make any sense? So, anyway, back to the Jackson Jambalaya article, and you can go find the details. I'm just kind of giving you the cliff notes here. Jackson Jambalaya submitted a records request to see who filed the permit or who issued the permit. And the city's supposed to respond within 7 days, either give it to you or not give it to you, and explain why not. We're 14 days in. The rules don't apply to the city. And obviously Jackson Jambalaya has not been given the permit. Of course not, right? And look, I'm going to tell you what, I recommend you going and looking at the comments under that. They allow anonymous commenting on that site. And there's some nasty, nasty stuff under there. And probably not from the people you think. I would go check it out. Pretty interesting. So, we discussed the mayor extending the curfew till August 19th. Which that sucks because my birthday is on the 17th and we're going out this Saturday for it. I've had to relocate my birthday outside the city limits of Jackson. I know they'll be devastated. Don't forget to go to our Jackson Uncensored group on Facebook. It's JXN Uncensored. Join. We got a couple little questions. Are you from here? What's your favorite restaurant? Period. Simple. Answer them and you're in. As long as it's your name, your profile picture. Great group. There's almost 6,000 people in there. Mostly all local as far as I know. And we discuss and argue about everything. From local this to national that. We had a moratorium on not allowing national politics, but now that we're 84 days out from the election, the field has been set. You got Biden and Harris trying to knock out Trump and Pence. I wanted to let people argue about it. I mean, because that's really what you do, right? You don't discuss it. You argue about it. So we've lifted the moratorium. Go argue about national politics with local people at Jackson Uncensored. It's a fun group. I personally approve or reject every post. So you'll never have a Cardi B trying to give away money video like in some of these other groups. We do police it. The comments, on the other hand, they're kind of the Wild Wild West. I'm not here to police your comments. If somebody says something rude or racist, I leave it up. I figure the best case scenario is people know they're rude or racist by leaving the comment up. I think you protect people like that if you delete the comments. It's the same thing on the Save Jackson main page. If you say some really dumb stuff in the comments, I'm probably going to leave it up because people should know exactly how you feel about stuff. It's not my job to be the morality police. Let people make their own decisions about you. But I'm also not a fan of cancel culture. I think people should be able to say whatever they want. Freedom of speech, not freedom of consequence. You say it, be ready to deal with what the consequences of whatever you say. Something else I want to discuss. I don't even have this written down. Somebody asked the other day, and for whatever reason, this question just grinds my gears. But somebody asked, a guy that I know, asked in the Save Jackson or the Jackson Uncensored group, what does Save Jackson do to actually save Jackson? Look, man, as I've told y'all before, Save Jackson is not about actually saving Jackson per se. It's not like I thought to myself, I'm going to start a group and a page, and I'm going to call it Save Jackson, and we're going to be like Superman around here. We're going to save everything. It's not so much what it's about. It was about bringing attention to things that need the attention brought to. Holding people accountable. Property owners that let their stuff go, especially these churches. Y'all know how I feel about these churches that get these properties. They don't pay any taxes on them, and they've got prostitutes and druggies and whatnot living in them, like the old Holiday Inn Southwest on 80. Not the Casa Grande, which that's horrible too. The old Best Western right there on 80. These are horrible, horrible places right there in main areas that need to be torn down. But the city does not collect any taxes on them because they're owned by a nonprofit, and they're harvesters of crime. It's terrible. Anyway, so we bring attention to that stuff. We bring attention to, empty buildings. You don't know how many people that have seen the empty building posts that we've done and wanted to know if I had contact information for the owners. Initially, I didn't. I went back and got it for a lot of people. Because, hey, if you're interested in renting a building, I will find out who has it for you. I mean, we don't do any bad stuff here. I mean, we are trying to help. We promote local businesses. I have tons of terrible experiences at local businesses. You know what I do? I just don't go back to them. I'll never bash a local business online. The only businesses I'll ever talk bad about online are these gas stations that sell drug paraphernalia and allow all the nonsense out in front of them. The city hones in and punishes bars and nightclubs and restaurants anytime anything happens, but these gas stations and these $2 crack hotels are allowed to run amok in our city with no consequences or repercussions. If you rent rooms by the hour, you're a shithole. You know damn well it ain't somebody passing through wanting to take a 2-hour nap. You know what's going on. You're garbage. If you sell meth pipes and paraphernalia at your gas station, you're garbage. You're a shithole. Excuse my language. I feel like I'm telling y'all water's wet and the sky's blue. So anyway, what is Save Jackson? What do we do to save Jackson? We have conversations like this. We give you a place to have the tough conversation, maybe with people you wouldn't normally see in your normal social settings, in your social circle. Give you a chance to talk to people, ask questions. You know, I feel like we do a lot. We've raised money. We bring attention to things. It's growing. It changes every day. I feel like right now, our biggest thing that we're doing right now, two things actually. We're championing local businesses. We're fighting for people who may not have as big of a voice as we do. Places like Pops Around the Corner. Places like Elton Swamp. You know, any other little small bar, restaurant, nightclub, whatever the case may be. You know, we're trying to be the voice for those people, you know, and call out the hypocrisy within the city government. You know, it's like BLM, for instance. Is it always about saving black lives? If you look at their political contributions, I could say no. So it's ever evolving. You know, we're learning how to do this as we go. Literally, this was never, ever, when we posted the first empty building picture, did I think we'd be sitting here with my face on a camera. I really liked it better before all y'all knew who I was. You got more done. It was like everybody loved it. Then it found out it was a white Republican running the page, and it somehow became, oh no, he can't talk about Jackson no more. Even though I live here, work here, lived here my whole life. So let's see, a little national politics real quick. Let's end it with, well, we're not going to end it with this. Start sending your questions into the comments for the Ask Me Anything. If you have any questions about Jackson, about Save Jackson, about me, about anything, I don't care. Anything. Ask them. The wife is vetting them. So she'll let me know. All right, so national politics here for a second. Biden-Harris versus Trump and Pence. I'm convinced that the Democrats have decided they have no chance of winning, and they just don't want to roll out any of their young guns that actually have a chance of being superstars down the road, and them taking the beating that's going to come from this. And it be a stain on their record. Because, and I quote, I never thought I would quote Talcum X, also known as Sean King, but we actually agree on something. Sean King wrote in 2018, November 14th, 2018 on Twitter, I'll be frank and tell you two Democrats that I am 99% sure I won't be supporting, primarily because of their dismal history on criminal justice reform over the course of their entire careers. Those two Democrats, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they both helped build and advance mass incarceration. Could not agree with Sean King anymore if I said it myself. What these two have done is absolute modern day plantation-like. It blows my mind. And then suddenly, just because they're running against Trump, they're now, what's the word I'm looking for? Social justice warriors. So yesterday, Sean King, the very guy that just wrote that tweet I read you, he sends out, "That's it for me. I'm incredibly proud to see a brilliant black woman and HBCU grad chosen as vice presidential nominee. I've done political work my whole life. It's rarely things dreams are made of. Kamala Harris is the most progressive VP nominee in American history." Well, he's not wrong about the last part. She is the most progressive VP nominee in American history. But man, my. How the tides have turned. I guess nobody ever thought two things: that Biden would actually be the nominee and that she would be the vice president nominee. So I guess that 1%, he left the window open back in 18. He said 99%. So the 1% won out. And now it's his dream ticket. Man.
Somebody said a vote party.
Casey says we agree about some, we disagree about others. Hey, that's the thing, man. I don't want everybody to agree with me. This ain't about always agreeing with me. This is just about a platform to chit-chat. You know, I learn things all the time. I mean, do y'all think I agree with everything Trump does? No, I don't. Wish he'd put Twitter down sometimes. But then I see how mad it makes the opposition. And I'm like, oh, okay, keep tweeting. Yeah. But no, I don't agree with anything anybody does. All of what anybody does. You know, if you're that much of a follower, you're not the kind of person I like hanging out with, man. You need the market of open opinions and thoughts. It's a free market, open market. Have your own opinions. The only thing we can't have our own versions of are facts. You can have your own opinions. You can have your own opinions of facts, but you cannot have your own set of facts. The facts are the same for everybody. So that's all I'll say about that. So Shannon says, don't even get me started on Twitter after this week. Yeah. So Shannon and I are going to be doing a documentary about Jackson. And I guess everybody has this immediate connotation that it's going to be about all negative. Not all negative. I mean, there's going to be that, but there's also the phoenix rising from the ashes. We're going to show the good stuff going on in Jackson too, but we are going to do a documentary about the rise, really, I don't know, about the fall and rise of Jackson.
I have your first question.
All right, so with that said, stay tuned to the Save Jackson YouTube channel. We will start releasing that here in the next few weeks, I hope. So my wife has our first question.
How do you feel about JPD and them doing their job? And do you think that Jackson would be a better place if it was run by Republicans?
So how do I feel about JPD and the job they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And would Jackson be better if it was ran by Republicans?
Yes.
That's the gist of it?
Yes.
All right, so the last part first. Yes, at this point, we're 25 years into liberal Democrat leadership in Jackson, Mississippi. We pretty much had the supermajority. So any change would be good change, whether it be conservative, libertarian, whatever, because clearly what's going on ain't working. Is JPD... So yes, I believe Jackson would be better off ran by Republicans. But we know that's not going to happen, so it's a moot point. What do I feel about JPD? Now, I always like to preface this with, this is not about the actual police. This is about the leadership that has been put in place that control the police. The mayor, the city council, the chief of police. These are the people. The budget. People talk about defunding the police. If you want an example of what that looks like, look at Jackson, Mississippi. Especially over the last 4 years. I mean, you can go back way further than that, honestly. You can go back to the 90s. But especially the last 4 years, last decade. We need to take every penny we have, and if we're not going to fix potholes with it, pay police with it. In a massive overhaul there. So, I hope that answers your question. Not happy with JPD. Not happy with Hinds County Sheriff's Department. But it's not their job. That's probably not right to throw them under the bus there. I got a lot of friends out there, but I'm just as a citizen in Hinds County, I'm just very unhappy with all of it. I mean, can somebody name me one good thing that goes on in Hinds County or Jackson concerning law enforcement? And now I will say this. Hinds County Sheriff's Department has an amazing This sounds terrible, wording it like this. They have a stellar child sex crimes and sex trafficking unit. They do some awesome stuff. They have a great drug enforcement stuff too. So it's not all bad, but the front line stuff is terrible. Out on the streets, I don't know. I don't know what you do. All right, what's next? Come on now. We need some more questions here. I can't do an ask me anything, and y'all not asking me anything.
Let's see. Well, some of the questions are wrapped up in comments, so it's hard to decipher. Who are you voting for?
I'm voting for Trump.
With a laughy face. And don't
Trump. I mean, especially... Well, considering the options, definitely Trump. Look at what is going on in these Democrat cities. I don't need to see that on a national level. You can look at the COVID numbers, the COVID deaths, the riots, the looting, all that stuff. Look at Jackson. I watch the national news because sometimes it makes me feel better about what's not happening here, because all things considered, at least we don't have some of that shit going on. But I don't have to look no further than Jackson to know that I don't need more Democrat.
Okay. So Shannon asked...
I hate calling Democrat. One second.
Okay.
By a Democrat.
Sorry.
Whatever happened to a good old-fashioned moderate Democrat that you could have a real conversation with? I know we've got some on here, and I appreciate our conversation. I got some on my personal Facebook, too. We have real conversation. We bicker a little. It's all in jest. We have fun with it. But we have the same core values. And I know in the African-American community, just like in the Southern Republican, Southern conservative community, we were all raised on the Bible. It's a very big, maybe it's just a Southern thing. But I guess that's been my problem with the Democrats going so far left the last few years and then you start seeing the same people that are in church on Sunday trying to take God out of everything on Monday, protesting, hollering pro-choice on Tuesday. Either you bout the Bible or you're not. And I guess I have some confusion there, but I'm not here to argue with y'all about it. That's just my opinion. And it's probably God's too. But
okay, Shannon asked, someone mentioned that you can buy abandoned buildings for pennies on the dollar. If so, why aren't people buying more of them and help the community?
Sure. So it's one thing to buy the building. It's another thing to pay the taxes on it and be able to do something with it. So if you're not a nonprofit, 503c or whatever they're called, if you're not a nonprofit organization and you buy the building, you're then responsible for the property taxes, which in Jackson are very high. I know more than one business, and I don't want to get the names mixed up here, so I'll let me get back to the details. But I know more than one business that the property taxes were so much that they just abandoned the property and left and opened up in Rankin County. It was paid for property. But they said instead of continuing to pay these ridiculous taxes in Jackson, I can just go open up a new building or rent a place in Rankin County and literally not be out the pocket any more money and be in a ton better location. Now, I'm referring to some businesses in the South Jackson area, not all of Jackson. But there's one very, very well-known photography studio right here at Terry Road and Elton Road that just said, screw it, y'all gonna have the property. The people that bought it sight unseen, out of state, looking at the traffic count and all this, that, and the other, then got here and were like, oh, what the hell have we ended up with? Useless. Completely useless. So.
Okay. 1 second. Let me get back on my list.
Can you buy the building and level it? Casey asked. Yeah, I mean, you had to have permits, for deconstruction and make sure there's no asbestos and stuff like that, because you can't just that's the problem with the Casa Grande apartments down on Terry Road there between Daniel Lake and Savannah. Why they can't just level it is because of the environmental part of it. It becomes way more expensive when you have to go do environmental cleanup before leveling. Now, if it were to just catch on fire and go away, I'm guessing you could just level it at that point. But as long as it's still standing, you have to go through, get the asbestos removed, all the other stuff. When you tie in the Department of Environmental Quality and whatnot into these buildings, and that goes back to the other question about getting abandoned property for pennies on the dollar. You know, it is what it is. It takes money to make money. And unless you got it or the ability to get it, you know, I wouldn't go investing into penny properties because you can't use them until they're back up to standard.
Okay, these are it's got two questions.
Two questions here.
Would you consider running for any office in Jackson, and why doesn't Jackson make these homeowners clean up their property?
All right, so one of the questions was, why doesn't Jackson make homeowners clean up their property? I know a little bit more about this one here. So there are zoning laws on the books. They're supposed to be enforcement officers. This goes back. The city doesn't even enforce the zoning laws on themselves. See no further than the Jackson Junior or the Mississippi Junior Achievement Building on High Street there behind the Hair and Gear Autoplex complex. The city owns that. Zoning disaster. As far as upkeep, the zoning laws, it's not just about where you can put a certain business. It's about cars parked outside, maintenance, etc. Cut grass. Then also see the old Valley Gas building on Capitol Street, West Capitol, that the city owns. Complete environmental disaster. And that's probably understating how bad it is. So why doesn't the city enforce property stuff on property owners? Allegedly, they don't have the manpower.
There's too many and not enough people to enforce it.
Yeah, you know, and if we had a great mayor like Jake Wyndham in Pearl, a guy from the city, loves the city, rides around the city. When I met with Jake not too long ago, it was either at his office or when I was, or when me and Polo interviewed him on the radio show. You know, he was telling me about he gets up every day and he rides around the community. Granted, Pearl's not as big as Jackson. I get it. But I don't feel like you got to dig too far. You don't have to peel the onion too far back in Jackson to find some problems.
What's going on?
Yeah. And in Pearl, they have a phone line. You can call and report. You can snitch on your neighbors. I'm sure Jackson has the same thing. It requires community involvement. It requires pages like Save Jackson and your personal Facebooks and pages like the Cypher Voice. You know, we can't go out and do it all. It takes some help. You know, take pictures of these properties. Put the people on blast. Put the city on blast. Tag the mayor in a post. I do it all the time. I tag the mayor. I tag the city. I tag Tate Reeves. They're not going to come kick your door in. They're probably going to do their job. So that's my opinion on that. But yeah, to answer your question, they claim they don't have enough people. In Jackson, we're just too busy watching the money leave town, paying these consultants to tell us that the water's wet and the sky's blue. You know, y'all can use your imagination what's really happening with that money. So they don't care. It's what happens when you elect people who don't love the city. If going to do this as their only way of income, if they don't, people need a history in this city. I need to be able to look at your resume, and I don't care what college you went to. I don't care if you got a GED. I need to see your resume. All right, we're getting a bunch of questions here. I love it. This is why I love doing this. So, long story short, will I ever run for office? Right now, no. I love this city, but I love it enough to know that there's more qualified people than me. The right candidate comes up, I will gladly get behind them. You know, but I love the city enough to know that I'm probably not the right person to get into the political side of it. I'm short-tempered. I like to hang out. You know, I got some shortcomings. I'll be the first to admit it. Not the most financially responsible person you'll ever meet. So, you know, I'm probably not the one you want balancing the city budget. Just being 100% honest with you. So, As of right now, no. Ask me again in 4 years.
Okay. So, Brian says, what do you think about the new stimulus package?
Come here. Pull up right here.
I'm not...
You won't be on camera. Just put that in the chair. Hold on, I'm moving the wife closer here.
Okay. So Brian says, what do you think about the new stimulus package that is currently delayed? Do you think we actually need it? How do you feel about people getting an extra $400 for unemployment on top of state unemployment?
So how do I feel about people getting the additional $400 on top of state? So the way I understood that, and I haven't been able to peel this onion back. It has been the craziest 2 weeks at work. But just off the top of my head here, the state is responsible for, I think, 25% of that. So the state is responsible for $100 of every $400, as of the way it's written right now in the executive order. So would the state still have to give the other $200 and whatever it is on top of that? So then they would be responsible for $300 plus. Look, if you have been out of work legit because of the COVID stuff, I think most of us, $400 a week. Look, I could live on $400 a week. You know, if me and Crystal both lost our jobs today and we had to do it, we could figure out a way to absolutely make it work short term if we had to. But I think most people that, you know, aren't going to be able to do that for more than, say, a month. I think I could do it for about a month. So to answer your question, look, I can make the point that no, I don't think I don't like it to an extent. But there are people that need it. There are places that are harder hit. So I got people in the service industry. They've been beat to death over this. You know, I think, and by the service industry, restaurants, hotels, tourism, I think it shouldn't be a flat. It should be based on a 90-day average of what you made before getting laid off. Whether you make $10,000, and just because you make $10,000 a month doesn't mean you ain't still broke, because you tend to adjust your budget based on that. They figure out a way to get it back on the tax returns, make it a personal loan to the people. I don't know. But just saying a set, because there's plenty of people that can say, well, man, you give me $1,000 a week, it ain't going to touch my bills. Yeah, it'll keep food on the table, but the wolves are still going to be kicking in my door. Then you get people you say $1,000 a week to, and they're like, jackpot, bitches. You know? So I think setting a flat rate is the problem that most people have with it. It should be based on a 90-day average of how much money you were making. And I know that kind of sounds a little bit contradictory because I'm a big advocate of the service industry. But unfortunately, in the service industry, it may need to be a flat because so many people don't report their tips properly. And the government's not going to reward you for not paying your taxes. So that's kind of an issue there. I hope that answered that question. All right, I'm passing the phone back to Crystal. The mic, I mean, not the phone.
Okay, this is from Kimberly. How do you feel about Polo wanting us to share with CNN, MSNBC, TMZ? I don't know what other voices he wanted. I don't think he said Fox.
It's okay. I mean, share with anybody, whoever you want. You know, when you're doing this rapid fire like this, whether it's MSNBC, Fox, CNN, whoever, man, share it. You know, if he forgot to mention one, roll with it. I mean, remember it for him. You know, if he doesn't watch Fox News, it's probably going to be the top of mind. I mean, a guy like that gets, I'm going to tell y'all, I've hung out with him a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're best friends or nothing like that, but I've hung out with him enough to know that he's got two phones and they don't stop. It's like ding, 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 ding. You know, on top of having an iPad going live in front of him a lot of the time. So if he forgets to mention something, I'm sure it's not deliberate. He's just, it's nonstop for a guy like that. I mean, I get it a lot, but what the messages and stuff I get pale in comparison to the volume of stuff he has coming at him. So I wouldn't think too much into it. Just send it to whoever you can think of. I even having the platform that I have, 20,000 plus on Facebook, 15,000 on Instagram, YouTube growing, all these other platforms I have growing. I still send stuff to other platforms. I send stuff to Cypher every now and then. I send stuff to Jackson Jambalaya. I send stuff to WLBT. I mean, it just depends on where you think your message has the best chance of being heard and what demographic you're trying to reach. You know, I realize that, you know, different platforms work better for different stuff. And by platforms, I don't necessarily just mean that social media network. I mean that news outlet. So, you know, that I send stuff other places I won't tell you all about because I want stuff to be seen. All right, next question.
Let me see. Some are comments, but let me see. It says, well, I'm trying to get back to where I was.
Tracy Avalon says, and this is just a comment here, but I just want to add to it. She says, people have to go to work. Children have to go to school. Absolutely.
Did you talk about that?
I didn't. I did not get a chance to talk about that, and I'm glad I saw that comment. Say what you want, say what you will about the whole... Will you grab me a bottle of water?
Yep.
The whole school thing. You know, that's a whole nother bag of worms. And that's why I've tried to I've taken the foot off the gas on Tate Reeves a little bit. Because I've been trying to look at it from a kind of a 30,000 foot view here. You know, so you got a group of parents who need their kids back in school because they have to work, right? Then you have a group of parents that don't want the kids to go to school and they don't want to go back to work because they're making more money being off work and whatnot. You know, so I guess it really depends on where you fall on the poverty line, right? Are you above it, below it? If the government sends out another stipend, and let's just say it's $1,200 again, and then what is it, $500 for each kid? So your average family of four gets $3,200.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so there's another 32. So say you're a family of four, you've already gotten $3,200. Say you get another $3,200. Say that household makes less than $20,000 a year. Well, let's just say a $500 a week job would be $24,000 a year.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you have one parent makes $24,000. Then you have another parent that, you know, might make $10,000 working part-time. There's $34,000. And that household gets a $6,400 boost that year between two government stipends. Man, that's huge. And then that one parent who was only making $10,000 a year got laid off or quit or whatever when you had the guaranteed income of $600 plus almost $300 from the states. That's $900 a week. There's going to be some families that got big old pay raises through this. And I'm not really going anywhere with this. I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head here. Got big old pay raises. Of course they want it to seem as bad as it possibly could be. And those are the ones that you could probably go through and look on Facebook that are being the corona craze, the corona Karens, the corona bros. You know, it probably either it's the really, really wealthy people that don't have to work, that love stirring the pot, typically white liberals. And then it's the next level, you know, the below the poverty line, which is everybody in Mississippi. You ain't about to get me saying the poor blacks. It is everybody in Mississippi, you know, under the poverty line. I would say, 70% of Mississippians probably live below poverty? I don't know.
More than that.
Probably more than that. So those are also the ones you see on Facebook, you know, championing, lock it down, keep it closed, you know. So So yeah. Anyway, I digress. Next question.
Shannon asked, "What's something that makes you proud to be a Jacksonian?"
What makes me proud to be a Jacksonian? You know, it's the people. And that's a generic answer. But from my first job, working the door from Miss Inez on Bailey Avenue to other multiple clubs with her, she taught me, and Miss Inez is an African-American lady, nightclub owner, taught me everything I know, for the most part, about the nightclub business. What I didn't learn from her, I learned from Chip Matthews. And then you know, through the process of paying my own stupid taxes over the years. You can just walk in anywhere. You had a chance of any random gas station in Jackson, Mississippi may have the best barbecue you've ever had. And contrary to what the media would have you believe, the race relations in Jackson are not nearly, at least they weren't till this mayor got here, nearly as bad as people would have you believe when you say I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. Like today, for instance, I was at the Walmart. I stopped at the Walmart in Clinton, which is really Jackson, but it's technically in Clinton, to get gas. And I'm sitting there. There's one guy with a mask on. There's a girl with a Walmart vest on. And then there's me, no mask. But we're outside, that kind of gas station, right? And the girl starts talking to me about my tattoos. And I said, well, eventually when COVID dies down and I don't have to sit in a chair with a mask on and all this to get a tattoo, I was like, I probably will if it ever gets back to being normal. And the guy starts laughing. He's like, normal. Yeah, right. So here I am. White dude. Black girl, black guy. Mask, no mask. Walmart. And we're just having a normal conversation. Just people. What we were, our races, what we were doing, none of that mattered. And that goes back to my what I tell you all about get offline. Get out of the comment sections and go talk to real people. Particularly people that look different than you. And it will help your humanity a lot better. I mean, I'm telling you, man, just every time I have an incident like that, I don't want to call it an incident, but a run-in like that, I always come out of it feeling so much better about everything. It's like every time I feel like it's the end of the world, you know, you have a good run-in with some complete strangers, you know, that on paper or on Facebook, you know, you might not agree with. Politically, you might not agree with. You know? I just always come out of that feeling like a ton better. I'm like, man, thank you. I needed that. I really did, too. I was tired today. I didn't feel good. And, like, after that, man, it was like taking a shot of 5-hour energy. I know that sounds corny, but really, I mean, it just made me feel a ton better. So, yeah, back to Jackson. Sorry. And just the history, you know, when you're in his home. You know, I was born and raised here. Business owner, raising my family here. My wife is from here. Met my wife here. You know, we've all got that place, no matter how great somewhere we go is. Home is home. You know, I know all the back roads. I know all the shortcuts. I know all the holes. I know all the history. You know, I couldn't move to Biloxi and start a Save Biloxi page. I wouldn't know what the hell I was talking about. You know, but I can do it in Jackson. I couldn't do a Pearl. I couldn't do a Brandon. I do a Jackson. You know, I went to Whitten, went to Hillcrest. I went to some high school in Byram. I went to Southwest Academy. I went to the Ed Center for a year. I went to Hines. I mean, I grew up on Lynch Street of all damn places. You know, I don't know. If I grew up somewhere else, I'd probably love there. But I grew up here. That's why I love Jackson. It's home.
Aisha says.
Hold on.
Aisha Watts? What? Question mark. So you're ignoring the fact that COVID is killing people? More blacks than whites. The rates are getting national attention, and you're focused on who's getting unemployment money? Question mark.
The COVID, I don't have the numbers in front of me, so if you're going to come with something like that, please send the data. I know that the numbers appear to be higher for African Americans, and I'm going to lean towards that not having nothing to do with being African American as much as it does is maybe a demographic is unhealthier than another demographic. You know, especially in the South. I would like to see what the Mississippi numbers are. in states where obesity is an issue, and diabetes, and cardiovascular, heart disease, whatnot, that disease, that COVID or that virus seems to affect people with those issues more than anybody else, whether you be white, black, Mexican, whatever. If you have those issues, it's going to affect you more. It does not know that you're black. It does not know that you're white. It latches on to unhealthy or underlying. That's why the underlying health issues are such a big thing with that. And no, I'm not ignoring that, and I discussed that earlier in the stream about the age groups and stuff, and you can go look at the numbers; they speak for themselves. But look, we're not underplaying the health, the numbers, or the deaths, or any of that. But if you're healthy, you don't need to be sitting at home not working. You need to figure it out. If you live with your parents or grandparents, you need to figure out a way to move. I don't know what to tell you.
Somebody asked, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? This bush right here.
The burning the burning bush here. I don't know.
I don't even know what to say about that. Let me see.
What's a good strong tree? Like
an oak.
A bonsai. It'd be a bonsai tree. I don't know. I never thought oak. Be an oak tree. I never thought about it.
Let's see.
But hey, no, Aisha, I appreciate the question. I really do, and I hope I answered that as honestly as possible. I would like to look at really peel the onion back and look at the numbers, but it is affecting people with obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and stuff more. And if for some reason that tends to affect the African American community more, I get it. But being from the South here, I would like to see. And also, I think a problem with that is it affects more urban density areas. And just honestly, at least here in Jackson, for instance, more African Americans live in more dense, packed areas inside the city versus, say, out in the country and whatnot. That's my theory. Prayers to anybody, and we're not trying to downplay it. And I don't care if people get money. I think the money should be rationed and based on how much you've made versus a set amount. So if $400 a week, if you're used to making $1,000 a week, $400 a week isn't going to do you a whole lot of good when your bills become due. If you make $5,000 a week or a month, excuse me, what good is $1,200 a month going to do you? It'll put food on the table, but it's going to have the wolves beating down the door for the bills.
You're going to have a table very long.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to have a table very long. I think it should, the way we're divvying up this money and just saying a flat, the flat nothing works for nobody. It never has. There's too many variables involved. But you could probably still take that same pot and get people based on what they made. If somebody only makes $400 a week, they don't need $900 a week. They've been living off that. I'm not saying they want to enjoy the pay raise, but is that feasible? I don't think so.
So Chris asked, he's saying, and then he asked a question, the no dump area on the east side frontage road between Savannah and Elton Road has gotten much worse in the past week. Even after your exposure, is there something we can do about that?
So, ask that again.
Okay. The no dump area on the east side of frontage road between Savannah and Elton Road has gotten much worse this past week. Even after your exposure, it's now mounds of stuff by the road. Is there something we can do about that?
So are we talking about in the old trailer park there between Savannah and Elton?
It just says
or the
east side frontage between Savannah and
Elton.
Yeah.
So that's the old trailer park there. Man, I don't know what to do there. Call the city. They don't care, but squeaky wheel gets the grease is my thought process. And it's the same thing directly across the street from there too, at the entrance to the Palm Bridges Park. Mm-hmm. You know, that gate's been busted open, and it looks like hell right there. Somebody asked what my favorite song was to blast riding down McDowell Road back in the day. It was either Too Short in the Ghetto or In Too Deep, Back to the Hotel. And then, I forget the DJ's name out of New Orleans, but the song was called Marrero. It bumped. So Marrero, In Too Deep or Too Short.
Okay, I'm just kind of going through it.
Why is it so hard to get a job here in Jackson if you're a felon? You know, Stephanie, that's a great question, because you would think in a city like Jackson. Well, I'll tell you, it's just hard to get a job in Jackson, right? Because there's not a whole lot of jobs in Jackson, and that goes back to leadership. You know, I know people get tired of hearing that, but it goes back to leadership. What can somebody name me a major job development that has come to Jackson in the last 5 years? I mean, to Jackson, the city limits of Jackson. Our industrial park down there off 220, it's almost a ghost town. You know, I'm not knocking the businesses that are still down there. There's still some great ones down there, but they're not getting any help. You know, and it is an industrial area. They don't need the drive-by traffic. I get it. But they built that new exit 20 years too late. But, you know, one of my first jobs was down there at the McCarty Holman, which owned all the Jitney Jungles. I worked in their freezer, you know, as an order selector, riding on a pallet jack in a freezer suit, picking ice cream to send to the grocery stores. You know, I know Quality Foods, I believe it's Quality or PPG. Anyway, one of the food distributors is down there. Cisco is also down there. But we're talking about one little area, one little set of jobs. There's just not a lot of jobs, man. You know, either you, it's sad. It's just like Amazon. I'm trying to make sure I say this right. Amazon's going to build a warehouse in Madison. Then you have Nissan there in Madison County. And what ends up happening is these big companies come in. And Nissan brought all these great paying jobs. And I know there's some good ones still out there. I'm not talking about every job. But then the second, like when Obamacare happened and they had to start providing all this insurance, that's when they laid everybody, turned it all over to Kelly Services. And I'm batting a little out of my league here. But being in finance, I understand a little bit how this works. So a company like Nissan shifted a ton of its staff to a temp service like Kelly, and they limit hours, and then they don't have to offer you benefits, and it's a lower paying job and stuff like that, where for whatever reason it got to that point, you know. And then you're going to have like an Amazon coming in, and they talk about like the warehouse, their distribution center they're building in South Haven up in that area is going to be, I think the minimum wage is $15 an hour. I mean, look, $15 an hour sounds great. And, you know, until you hold out taxes and all these other things, and when the floor is also the ceiling, how great of a job is it? You know. So a little food for thought.
Okay, so Miss Eileen.
Hold on, let me give you the mic.
Okay. Miss Eileen asked, "When will you go back and do video at Lakewood Cemetery? You did a great job last time you went." And I think she's talking about the one in South Jackson.
So when will we go back and do another Lakewood Cemetery video? Yeah, good question. My
family's out there.
Yep, my wife's family is out there, and I have some friends out there as well. So as far as the videos in general, two things. I have a lot of video in my program that I filmed that I just got to get edited and put up. Time is an issue, and when you work a full-time job, as most all of us do, when you do these outdoor filming, the timing and the day off has to line up with the weather acting right. So it's just been a little bit of that. Crystal's been my sidekick on all this stuff. She wasn't feeling good for a while. Health is just getting back 100%. So now that I have my sidekick back, I'm a lot more willing to get out there and start doing these videos. It's not nearly as much fun doing it by yourself. So we started this page together and doing all the videos together. And while she didn't feel good, it wasn't as fun to do. honestly. So she's back healthier, and we'll get back started doing the videos some more here. That's kind of why I transitioned to this, because I just didn't want to leave a hole in the content. So here's the mic back for another question.
Yep. Shannon asked. Okay, well, hold on. I'm trying to find it. It keeps jumping.
Let me answer this.
Okay.
Tracy asked, why didn't Amazon utilize the warehouses already in Jackson? You know, I have to say that it would come down to leadership and tax incentives and whatnot. I don't know. I don't believe Madison had to give them anything. They purchased that land with zero tax incentives in Madison, but it's access. It's what's it going to be worth later? Look, anybody that's followed me for any amount of time knows I've thought that a company like Amazon would do very well to buy the Metro Center and convert it into a distribution center. Amazon and Walmart have been doing that with malls across the country, abandoned malls, you know, and converting them into massive distribution centers, because a lot of the malls are already close to interstate exits, ramps, intersections, whatever you want to call it. And there's no better place as far as land and opportunity and access and logistics than where the Metro is sitting, especially if you're going to get into the distribution business. You know, you got I-20, 55, you're halfway to Dallas, halfway to Atlanta, halfway to New Orleans, halfway to Memphis, and you got all of Mississippi in the middle, and Alabama, and Louisiana. So, look, it ain't my money, but if it was, it makes a lot of sense to have used the Metro Center to have put a distribution center. And who knows, it may still come, but I don't know. If I was the city of Jackson, I would figure out any way I could to get that Metro Center from the private owners. That's the other thing. It's owned by private people, not the city. So when people always say, well, just do this with it, just do that with it, it ain't ours. You know, it belongs to somebody. That'd be like somebody saying for you just to give your house away. So anyway, food for thought.
I was just going to tell Miss Eileen that we did do a ride-through at Clinton, and they're redoing the roads.
About Lakewood.
Right, but she's asking Clinton too. If you want to tell her.
So Miss Eileen asked about us doing the Lakewood Cemetery, Clinton. We've done Clinton and South Jackson. They're both in our videos. I feel like there is a Clinton follow-up video somewhat where I did a ride through one day on my lunch break. Miss Eileen, send me a direct message here on the Save Jackson Facebook, and I will send you a direct link to that video. Because they've gone in, they've torn the roads up and repaved them, and they've done a bunch of stuff out there in Clinton. It looks really nice. I have some questions about the way they did some stuff as far as proximity of the graves to the new road.
The way the headstones are turned.
Yeah, the way the headstones are turned, they're mighty close to the roads. I have some questions that I would like answered. But they have done a lot of work over there. South Jackson still don't look good. They've cut the grass. And then, of course, like everybody else, blamed it on COVID.
Somebody asked if I was pregnant.
She is not pregnant. Ulcers are hell.
Been sick, but let's see. Somebody asked your favorite color.
Favorite color? You know, this is a weird one for me.
Depends on what we're talking about.
Yeah, my favorite color. Probably red. You know, I mean, but
you like blue a lot.
But if we're looking at, but if we're talking about like clothes, like blue seems to work best. You know, I get more compliments when I wear blue than any other color, but I like wearing red. If we're just talking about clothes, as far as vehicles, I've always wanted a red vehicle, but I keep ending up with charcoal gray vehicles with black wheels. So I don't know. I guess the older you get, the less you care about any of that stuff. It's like, how am I gonna pay my bills today? That's the only color I care about.
Shannon, I think, asked something about a documentary.
But Shannon is Shannon asked about a documentary. Shannon's who we're doing the documentary with.
How do you feel about it? Are you excited?
Oh yeah. Look, man, me and Shannon are doing a documentary together. Shannon got some cool. Shannon Taylor. He's here on he's here in the comments. Y'all give Shannon a follow. We're going to be working on a documentary. He's a younger dude. So the only Jackson he knows is kind of the Jackson that's here now. So we went on a ride the other day, and I gave him a tour of my Jackson, my city, and kind of why I'm passionate about it. Showed him the store I grew up going to down on Lynch Street, my dad's old store. Took him a ride around the metro. He'd never been on the backside. Never had a reason to go over there. Why would you go if you never had a reason to go, right? And just kind of show this dude a different side of Jackson and, kind of why I feel like the way I feel about stuff. It was cool to hear a younger dude's perspective on it that I didn't know.
Okay, he said, I asked, what are you most excited about this documentary?
I've said it a dozen times now, to peel the onion back, to give people a chance to tell their story. Like if they're not in Jackson anymore, what was the tipping point? Why did you leave? Or people that have stuck around, why have you stayed? What do you see? What is the end game? What do you think has to happen? For y'all to hear other voices than mine. I know everybody thinks that I'm just, I just only show one thing. It's all negative, negative, negative. But, sometimes you got to show the ugly to get to the good. That's what we hope to do with this is turn the corner and show people, the good, the bad, the ugly, and hopefully the rebirth. So.
Okay, so Brian asked, how do you feel about the removal of the Confederate
statue in, which one, in Jackson or the one they're talking about doing in Brandon?
In downtown Brandon, and the upcoming Unity rally that they're going to have in a couple of weekends.
So, if you haven't seen on Facebook, they're going to do another Unity rally. Hair in my mouth. Another Unity rally in Brandon. When is it?
In a couple weekends.
Yeah, I want to say it's towards the end of the month. I'm sure we'll share it at some point for y'all. They're wanting to move the statue in Brandon to the cemetery there in Brandon, which if you're not familiar, there's a World War II, not a World War II, Civil War cemetery there in Brandon. Beautiful. We've been out there. We have a video on it too. I don't know if we did a video, but there's definitely a photo album on it on here. Look, that statue's been there. If you don't live in Brandon and you don't ride by that statue, I don't think we should be moving any of these things.
I didn't even know who it was before now.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Does it bother me? No. Does it bother some other people? Yeah. But what does it bother? Is it your feelings? And I'm not talking to Brian so much, but I just mean in general. None of us are guaranteed for our feelings to not get hurt. It's like,
you can't go through life like that.
If you see something that makes you mad, fight it. Use that as fuel for your fire. Learn. We talk about repeating history, or if you remove history or forget it, you're doomed to repeat it. Use that as a reminder. I don't think it should be removed. I don't know. Logistically, it should be removed because it's right in the middle of the damn road, and they need to four-lane that. Logistically. But historically, it's history. Leave it there. Let it be. If it's bothering you, if you live out there, you have a bigger voice in this. If you live in Jackson and you're just mad because somebody told you there was a Civil War statue there, let it go. You're just looking for stuff to be pissed off about. There's plenty of stuff around Jackson to be pissed off about. But if you live in Jackson and you're worried about a statue in Brandon, you're worried about the wrong things. Like the people that got all pissed off at me today, posting a picture of a school bus I saw in my neighborhood. If your life is going so good that you're upset that somebody posted a picture of a school bus, your life is going too good to be on a save anything page.
Somebody asked, what is your favorite NFC and AFC team?
Cowboys. It's my favorite team.
It's not your wife's.
My wife's is the Saints. Probably why she's been sick. AFC team. Well, the Cowboys are my team, So it's really weird to say I have a second team. Like, I don't have a second college team. I like Mississippi State. I hate every other team, period. But I'm pulling for Gardner Minshew, Brandon Native, Jacksonville Jaguars.
We love Gardner.
We love Gardner. Jacksonville Jaguars are our current favorite second team. And wherever Gardner plays at till he doesn't play no more. Just like when Steve McNair played in Tennessee, Tennessee was my second favorite team. So I kind of follow Mississippians around, especially Central Mississippians.
Miss Eileen asked, why do you think people are not standing up and fighting for these statues and for history?
So Miss Eileen asked, what do you think about people not fighting and standing up for these statues? Cancel culture has got people scared to death.
She feels like everybody that cares about history is dying out.
I don't think people aren't dying out. I mean, the younger generations care. But people are scared to death. In this weird cancel culture that we live in right now, that if you don't kneel down and bow down to certain things, you're automatically a racist. Or if you want to respect history, you're automatically a racist. And people just cancel you. And you look across the news every day and you see people, rioters and looters, showing up to people's houses and stuff. I mean, like the stuff going on in places like Portland and all that. I mean, people are sitting there and asking themselves, and we've all done this in one form, fashion, or another, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. You're like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is me showing my butt about something worth the consequences and repercussions? And everything can't be worth the consequences and repercussions. At some point you have to pick your battles. And my battle is Jackson. I've made this my hill to die on, and I don't care who I upset and who I piss off. Jackson is going to be my axe to grind, and until the day I die. The statues and all that stuff, and the flag and all that. That's not my battle.
It's mine. I care.
Yeah, my wife cares. And I don't not care.
But I care about all of it. It's just not. It's not just those things.
Yeah, I mean,
history in general.
Exactly.
I think it's important.
Yep. We're gonna get her a mic soon.
Well, you can say what I say.
History in general is important. But right now my fight is corruption and abandoned property in Jackson and crime and just everything going on here. Like, I've thought about trying to, start a page about doing more national stuff and discussing that. But every time I think about it, I just like something else. 10 things happened in Jackson that day. And it's like, I'm more concerned about football getting canceled than I am Kamala Harris being named the potential vice president. I just not going to change who I vote for. I thought football getting canceled yesterday was a bigger story than her being named potential or Biden's running mate. So we all pick our battles in life. You have to decide what's your hill to die on. Is it Lee Greenwood? If you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. You pick what you're going to stand for and stand firm for it, whatever it is. If it's Black Lives Matter, by all means. I have friends on every side of the aisle, that believe in everything, and there's tons of them that I disagree with on a lot of stuff, but the ones that stand firm, I respect them, and those are the ones I get along best with. I had a conversation with a guy last night. I won't say his name on here. I don't ever know who wants their name mentioned or not, but we don't agree on 99.9% of anything political. But when he talks, I listen because he believes to his core in what he says, so I respect it, and I feel like people are starting to realize that's how I am about Jackson. So.
You want me to ask more?
Yeah. What else we got?
How do you feel about Tater Tot as governor?
I've been very disappointed. Look, it's hard. Look, I voted for him in the general election. I did not vote for him in the primaries. I voted for Robert Foster for complete transparency. And my wife voted for the other guy.
Yeah, for sure.
not the Democrat, but the other Republican that was running, Waller. She voted for Waller. So neither one of us voted for Tater until the general election. It's not that I wouldn't vote for Democrat, that the right person. I just didn't like Jim Hood. I don't know. So anyway, back to Tater. It's probably not fair if we're being 100% transparent here and realistic. It's probably not fair to judge him on what's happened the last 8 months. I mean, from January straight on. I mean, his first month was pretty laid back, even February. But then you had the floods. Was that in January or February? You had the floods in the state, particularly in Jackson. Then COVID. Then all the protest, the George Floyd stuff, which didn't happen here, but that trickled nationwide. You had the flag, continued COVID. I mean, it's hard to say. It's easy for us to say, well, I would have done this, I would have done that. But we're not governor, right? So, I don't know. I'm trying to not just bust his balls nonstop, but I have not been happy with the way he's done things. I mean, I'd be lying if I said otherwise. The way he handled the original shutdown and deeming businesses essential and unessential, I thought was terrible. I don't like the way he gets on there and talks to us like we're children in those press conferences. I don't like Dr. Dobbs. I wish they'd put a muzzle on him. He may be a great guy, but I've never heard somebody as negative as him. He's like the Jacktown Dr. Fauci. Just nothing positive except COVID test ever come out of his mouth. It's like, oh my God, I can't take it no more. So, yeah, Jennifer's like 16 plus years in office. He has no excuses. That's the other thing. I said this a while back. I don't know if I said it on video or not. So here, on the record. Some people make great assistant managers. And some people make great managers and general managers. And it's like sometimes if you've ever worked, especially in the car business, man, you work with a guy that seems like a great up-and-comer. He's just working his way up the ladder. Went from salesman of the month to internet director, best in the world. Then ends up used car manager. Then ends up general sales manager or new car manager. And then he gets the GM job. And he is terrible at that job. It's like, really good at doing one thing, but when he's over everybody doing everything, he's terrible at that job. Tate seemed to have been really good when there was somebody over him. And this is just my public opinion of how he comes across publicly.
He was good at backing up.
Yeah. And what was he? State auditor, and then lieutenant governor, and now governor. I mean, he was a great lieutenant governor. Lieutenant governor of Mississippi is lieutenant governor is a very powerful position in Mississippi. I mean, he's not like the vice mayor or anything, or like the mayor of Jackson. I mean, it's a really powerful position. So, I don't know. I'm not happy with him.
What was the last question you answered?
Talking about Tate Reeves and just talking about Tate. So he won't be reelected. You know what, Casey? I waffle back and forth on that. It's not that if a legitimate Republican runs against him in the primary and beats him in the primary, he won't be. Obviously, he won't even run. So not beats him in the primary, in the primaries. If a Republican beats him in the primaries, he obviously won't run in the general election. So maybe there's a rule where he could run as an independent. I don't know. But anyway, I think somebody like a Robert Foster or a Chris McDaniels, those are just the two names today that I think have a chance to run against him. 3 years from now, there's a whole lot can happen in 3 years. And at this pace, I don't know where we're going to be in 3 years. This last 12 months has been wild. Last 8 months, whatever it's been. So to forecast 3 years from now, he could completely turn it around, or he could get run out of town with pitchforks on, and fire. I mean, who knows? So, but I still don't think, no matter what, a Democrat won't beat him in 3 years. Not in Mississippi. I mean, the only way a Democrat wins in Mississippi is to say a Robert Foster or a Chris McDaniel run as an independent third party and split the vote, and then, a Democrat would win in Mississippi. Now, in the future, who knows? But in 3 years, ain't enough changing. Ain't enough Californians moving to Mississippi. Get some better leadership in Jackson and some bigger business, maybe so. But right now, it ain't happening.
I'm just reading everything.
But I think that's the only way that I get kind of answered my own question there about a Democrat winning. But as far as Tater winning, it would almost, the vote would have to be split. I don't know. It's a funky deal. It's easy to sit here today and say, now if the election was today, if Robert Foster or Chris McDaniel ran in a Republican primary against Tate today, Tate would not win. I mean, I feel pretty confident saying that.
Somebody said Amazon should have picked up Metro Center.
Yeah, Amazon should have picked Metro.
Which
but
we need to check on that again.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I know a lot of businesses, a lot of little local businesses signed up to move into the Metro Center, and then COVID hit, and can't blame anybody on the COVID stuff, but at some point, you got to move on and, figure out what you're going to do. Shannon asked, can we get a petition to get Tate to get a modern haircut? I'm convinced that he still uses his Flowbee. Remember those?
He has a beaver haircut.
Like the vacuum cleaner that cuts your hair? I swear he gets his hair cut with a Flowbee.
It's like a beaver. Justin Bieber.
All right, look. I'm going to put a bow on this thing. We've been going for a minute now. Longer than I planned on, actually. So just kind of recap a couple little things. Look, these are not sponsors, but they're great locally owned businesses. USA Pawn, all over Jackson, all over Central Mississippi. Find one. Buy stuff. They got guns and ammo at the McDowell Road store. Guns and Gear, out in Gluckstadt, great locally owned business. They sell new guns, all that good stuff. Go out there and see them. Tell them Save Jackson sent you. Tell them Save Jackson sent you. USA Pawn, right down the road from my house. Great people. If you want your hat up here, give me a hat. That's that simple. We are going to start doing some sponsorship stuff with some people, but right now, again, how do we save Jackson? We support local businesses. That's how that's the core level of starting the saving of Jackson. Keep your tax dollars in Jackson. I don't mind going to Gluckstadt. I don't mind going to Pearl. I'm more of a Central Mississippi guy, but, keep your money as local as possible. If you live in a zip code, spend your money in that zip code. That's how you support that zip code, regardless of what it is. So, Pops around the corner, speaking of supporting local business, will be open this weekend. Mayor's orders be damned. Pops is having a protest. And if it's a protest, they can't shut you down. It's a peaceful protest at Pops this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, with karaoke Thursday night and a DJ the rest of the weekend. I don't know what else to say. I'm just talking to talk at this point.
Somebody asked, how can I send a company hat?
Send us a direct message and I'll get you an address. Or if you're local, I'll come pick it up. Shake your hand, spend some money with you, depending on what it is. If you're an electrical supply house, I'm probably not going to spend any money because I don't need anything. Wouldn't know what to do with it if I did, just like that equipment I bought for this video. I do need an electrician that can do me something while I got y'all here. If anybody knows an electrician that can, I need a couple fluorescent light fixtures changed out in my house. 3 of them changed out in my house. 4-foot double electrical fixtures, fluorescent light fixtures. But I cannot pay traditional electrician fees. So if anybody needs any trade out, maybe a little advertising for some electrical work, a little bit of money on the side, whatever, hint, hint. Anyway, I kid unless somebody wants to do it. But look, y'all have a blessed night. Y'all take care. DM me with any questions you have that you maybe didn't want to ask in the public comments. I will gladly answer any questions I can. Y'all take care. Thank y'all.